fintech company. It's a Fortune 500 company, Prudential Insurance Company of America. I'm not sure if I heard about it or not, but I've been working with this company more than like 10 years now. Before that, I worked for American Express. You might have heard American Express credit card system banking company. I worked for that company almost for 4 years. And before that, I worked in India, back in India for some other like a service-based company. I have around like a 17 plus years of experience working into as a software developer. Now I'm leading a team. I'm working as a lead software engineer. And coming to my technology, so I mainly my area was into web development and mobile development work kind of thing. And the technologies so far I have touched upon is like I'm a full stack kind of engineer. I mainly worked on like for the front end technologies with the Angular, most recent Angular React frameworks or JavaScript based frameworks, recent frameworks, and then the middle layer the service side, I worked with Java Spring Boot APIs, GraphQL APIs, and coming to the database side, I worked with the SQL database, MySQL, Postgres, and coming to the cloud applications, I closely work with the AWS deployments and DevOps side of deploying the application side. And coming to the content management system, I'm working as an architect in the current organization. And coming to the AI related, so we recently adopted a Claude AI tool for our developers to speed up the development. I have been using for more than 6 months so far now, and I have created so many skills and plugins, and like we are currently working on deploying some MCP servers. So those sort of things our organization is trying to adopt AI more. So we have different tools. Jira tools. We have, as I said, Claude is for the developers for coding purpose, and for the for the product people also they are using Claude as well. And also we are making our systems ready to deploy any AI systems. Let's say we migrated all our code repositories from Bitbucket to the GitHub to support the GitHub actions, and that we give more security in terms of Claude code check-ins because we integrated Claude with GitHub with the plugins to auto check in the code, and also we migrated all our Jenkins pipelines to GitHub Actions. So that way, it's more secured in terms of governance and security to deploy applications into AWS. So these sort of things, like we are in the early stage of adopting AI into organization level, enterprise level. So I'm also kind of in the learning phase, and also yeah, I'm ready to share my knowledge, whatever I'm gaining through this and through my work, right? So that's the thing I just wanted to share with you.
Yeah, that's amazing, actually. Yeah, thank you for already mentioning what you do and how you set up everything and at work. I was first wondering, my first question would be less technical. Here, it's really about like, at the moment you work in the US, I was wondering if you have worked anywhere else in any other tech companies elsewhere, and what do you like in tech companies based in the US, especially like, everything is usually on a higher level, depending on the state, but it's more or less like the country where, everything was born. So I was curious how it is
So
for you
yeah,
in the States.
yeah. So the main thing here in US, the organizations which are like big companies try to adopt the technology early stage, and so that they were able to provide more service to the customers or clients, right? And they can provide, let's say, let's say if you consider the AI, right? AI adoption is very high compared to any other country. In US, the adoption is very high, and that too, like big companies, they will build the governance and security, and they, at the same time they provide more. They think in the customer perspective, right? They provide services. Let's say I'll give you one simple example. Like in Prudential, every day we usually get a lot of customer service calls. How can we, automate them with the AI chatbot or something like auto answering system? So to reduce that call volume kind of thing. So that is like we are giving more flexibility to the customers, and we are solving the issues, right? So for your coming to your question, so the adoption level is very high in US compared to any other country, especially these kind of organizations, bigger companies.
Right. Yeah. And as a lead engineer, what do you like the most in your job? Like, of course, you have been working
Yeah.
for many, many, many years, and you have probably been working in a, with different stack as well. But what you prefer now as a lead engineer compared to you as a senior or as a mid engineer previously?
Yeah, I like that question. I would like to. So the main thing is, I have been like in this industry for 17 years. So there have been a lot of changes happening over the period of time, and we can provide for a problem, we can provide a solutions in different many ways, basically. So the quickest and quality way of providing is my main goal. That I obviously like that way of like how to explain this like with a proper solutioning we can give it in multiple ways, but giving a proper solution gives more satisfaction.
Mm.
Or like
Right.
providing any digital products, right? If you develop a or design a web application, so people will can develop in multiple ways. But how can we implement in a easy, accessible way, or easy? How can they navigate through the website, right? Easily. Let's say if you consider an iPhone versus Samsung, so there is flexibility. Is like if you with very minimal clicks, you can change into the multiple apps. So that's the experience, right? So that's how I think about like providing good solutions and good experience is the main priority for me.
I see. That was a really good explanation. It's very interesting because also like you as a lead engineer, it really depends of the company as well and the needs. It's not just a title. It's really like in my case, I found like some lead engineers would have to do basically only managing and meetings and speaking to C-level people all the time. And others would be really much like focused on the product and on the solution itself.
I always wants to be on hands-on. I don't want to go away from that because I like to code. Are you with
Yeah,
me?
you like to have an impact in the product.
Definitely, yeah. Like when a product manager,
Yeah,
product owner comes to me and asks me to provide me this solution, I wanted to involve in that and give a direction to my team members, and they can work on that solution. And we can. It's not just I provide the direction. It's a team discussion, and okay, team agreement, and okay, what direction we want to go with this and what solution we are going to provide, which can be a best thing, and the team can decide, and I will involve everybody. That's how I go with that.
like managing people by definition is very hard because all engineers are different. We are all human and we all behave differently. And so that can be the tricky part as a lead engineer when you are too deep in the managerial aspect and not enough on the product or on the
Yes.
vision,
Yeah, I agree with you.
especially as an engineer.
The one thing what I learned through this period of time, like I know so many engineers comes and join and they will leave. But the one thing what I will I'll give an opportunity for them to think about it and come up with a new solution, because if only one person thinks, it goes in a different way. We have to give them an opportunity. We don't know what solution comes out of their mind, and we can discuss as a team. And if everybody agrees upon it, then we can go with that.
Yeah, that's also a good approach indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And at the moment, like in your case, what have you found useful as as a lead full stack engineer to when you have like situations like in my case, for instance, I'm quite overwhelmed a lot because you have a lot of projects coming on and the company is usually asking you to prioritize projects and you might be quite under pressure. Have you been through that kind of situations? And if
Yeah.
so, like how do you manage this?
Yeah, this is usually I think every lead position or director position, whoever in the lead situation, they all be into these kind of situations. Like we will get multiple requests. Okay, from the product. Okay, can you provide an estimate for this, and can you provide estimate for this, and at the same time we have a release going on, and we have to priorities that deliverables as well as, and we have to provide the estimations and PI planning and providing ratings for the team members. So it's always ongoing thing and always will be in pressure. But I will be like handling the tasks in a like what are the to do today. Today's my priority. I'll maintain the list of tasks. Okay, I'll go with the priority on the priority level. So that's how I manage my day to day activities. If something team members can help on anything, that I will definitely allocate them to. Okay, can you, let's say if somebody asks me some estimation for that, if my team member is who's closely working to that project or product thing, right? I can ask and help. Okay, hey, I got this request and I'm sending it to you. Can you go and come up with a estimate so that we can discuss? After he come up with the details, it will be easy. Like for me, it takes like 5 or 10 minutes to compose all those things into an email and send it out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the tricky I mean the tricky part is also a time estimation, even though I mean now with AI it's very much easier to have a
Yeah,
proper deadline, to follow the deadline. But previously in the past, it's very hard because you should always give like 1 week longer than it's meant to be. So
yeah.
you know that all of the things that would happen on the way that you
Always
didn't
unknown.
plan will
Always unknowns will be there.
yeah, exactly. And no one will be disappointed. But at the same time, you don't want to give like something crazy about the deadline, like something too long. Yeah, it's also the tricky part too. Like
It's a,
we never know the unknown.
sometimes if we give very long estimation and very expensive thing, right? Sometimes that project might go off. That might be we'll be in a trouble.
That's true actually. And at the moment, so I was wondering how is your day to day these days like, and how you use AI? Like you probably use AI all the time now, like for doing everything.
I'm
How
almost
how do you
in
use
the
it?
recent months, pretty much like 30 to 40% I'm using AI for my tasks. So
Right.
from the from so we will have like scrum meetings and PI plannings and all these planning meetings. I use Zira plugin, which is forgot the name. There is a Jira plugin AI tool. Like I use it a lot for story writing and scenarios and go through the descriptions and all those things. That helps me a lot. So
Mm-mm.
that is one thing I use a lot, and I have another the Cloud I obviously using a lot these days for all my codings and for any repository I have to analyze through that repository code base and so it will give us like MD files, so it's easy to read and understand that repository. And what other tools is like before Cloud I used Copilot as well, but
Mhm.
Copilot is not that effective like a Claude. It just works on that whatever file you are working on, but it won't, scan through the entire repository. I don't know if they have improved recently, but that was like my 3 months back experience with the Copilot.
Yes, I mean they did improve. They always compete to each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can actually have your whole project scanned with Copilot. But I do agree. Like in my case, I'm using Cloud Code mostly all the time. I feel like right now it's the most efficient.
Mm.
Yeah, to use. Are you using like multiple agents in parallel when you are doing tasks? Multiple, like you run multiple
In the cloud.
instances of like Cloud Code, for instance.
In the cloud now, I recently started using multiple terminals, and recently they have added lots of commands like continue the context and how you switch the context in between the windows. Let's say if you are working on a very big plan, right? First make a plan and create as an MD file, and like whenever you come back, you can give the context of that MD file, and then Cloud can pick up from there. So that will also help you to burn less tokens, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
correct. Yes. Number of tokens can be yeah. I mean, usually your company will pay for it, but yeah,
yeah.
it's going to be meaningful there. And like in my case, I was wondering what you said you don't use AI 100% still for coding, so you would still like have you be
My case is like we are still in the we all our code repositories are not migrated to GitHub.
Mm-mm.
70% is already migrated. We still in the process of that migration to GitHub because that's a security issue with our current Bitbucket. So our organization is strictly enforced. No code check-ins should be go to the Bitbucket. So that's the reason we are not 100% using cloud for development purpose, but wherever is applicable, we are using it.
Right. So it's more like due to limitation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the security and all those issues.
Yeah. And that's the reason also why you cannot use AI everywhere on
Yeah, the governance and all these things, should be in place. Even for MCP model implementation also, like last, I think 2 weeks back, our organization, our architecture team, they like the top architecture team, they provide an approval to go with an MCP server, MCP implementations. So we're just starting on it.
very new. Oh yeah. I mean that's good. You got an approval. But it's true that we don't know actually what all of the data being sent there.
Yeah,
If
yeah, yeah.
if you don't use a local, like if you don't use Olama with a local LLM model, you have no idea what's
Yeah,
happening.
I'm already using some predefined, I mean, the plugin MCP servers, let's say Claude to GitHub, Claude to Jira Atlantis, right? MCP server for code check-in. So those existing MCP servers we are using, but we haven't implemented a new MCP for our to connect with our database or like any production level which we can application level haven't implemented.
I see. And for you personally, how much you trust all of like, OpenAI, Anthropic, and the others, especially like you are based in the US, so probably maybe your opinion is a bit different.
Yeah, I mean that's a very broader question. Even I don't have answer to that. Like if whenever I'm using Chat GPT for my personal purpose, I'm providing all my details to it. But in terms of security wise, I don't know how much secure. Until unless if my data leak is happened somewhere and we don't know how that leak happened and all these things. But yeah, I'm not 100% accepting AI, but at the same time we have to go with the flow, right? Like everybody is using, otherwise we'll be behind the thing, right? So we have to use, and yeah, as I said, maybe we have to accept 70 to 80%. That obviously with any software there, that security things happens, right? Even with the before AI also, security incidents we have seen, so many incidents. So it always will be there with any software, but we have to accept, and we have to go with the stricter implementations and find out the loopholes, and that's come up with the solutions.
Yeah, like in my case, I found a little bit tricky. Like it's always about the pros and cons, how beneficial over like, am I ready to give all of those data like, let's say you got I was speaking more about the personal situations,
Mhm.
like you got a blood test or you got an X-ray, and sometimes you don't know like what it means, and you don't want to ask again your GP, your doctor. You would
Mhm.
upload that, and then you would get the information, and then you'd upload all of your personal information, and then you have OpenClaw running on your computer because you believe that's very beneficial for me. It can do everything. It can see all my files. But then you have to see also, yes, of course, there will be a situation where something will go bad. By definition, they will always have vulnerabilities, and your data is actually clear. I mean, yeah, you just have to see, okay, am I fine to give that information or not?
Yeah.
It's always pros and cons over, like, for you, how beneficial it can be by having that information provided by the LLM model. Or otherwise, in my case, what I started to do is to have a local model running on my computer, and it's only local. So for like the sensitive things I have to do, I can do it locally, but it's not as powerful as
Mhm.
the
Got it.
the cloud models.
Got it. Cool. So you have a local LLM implemented for you.
Yeah, it's a bit painful to have that because your computer is very slow. Let's say your
Very
computer is
slow.
not,
I know.
and
I understand.
the models are not as powerful. But I was wondering for you, it's as an engineer, we tend to be more open to this, but it's also important to see the risks out there.
Yeah, obviously that's the reason, right? Every AI decision, human should be, in the loop and able to, judge that because that model can give you anything, and it will it will pretend you like I am the right person. That, but the judgment as a human, we have to be careful. and what information at the same time what information we are providing, and is there any security issues, so that we also have to be careful while giving something to the AI models.
Yeah, yeah. Like, you know, you would see also some engineers. I mean, now the model are trained to refuse this, but I've seen that in some companies where junior engineers would even put the API keys and tokens to
Yes.
the LLM to say, please do it for me. And so, you know, all of the token keys, private keys would be sent to the server. It can be a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I recently got that security vulnerabilities, like every quarter, our security team will scan through and send the list of it. And
Mm.
recently, I got like the same thing, like 4 or 5 cases where our team like commented it but checked in the tokens.
Yeah, it's I mean also like normally I think technically, you know, you have your git ignore. I believe the AI agent is not meant to look at all files in the git ignore. That's good. And they will those informations that have been mentioned in the git ignore will not be sent to like Anthropic or OpenAI servers.
Hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, there are a lot of situations where like basically there are your keys or like when you have OpenClaw on your computer and you have some Bitcoins and some wallets and you don't want your your
Hmm.
keys to be well to be hacked. That's also like something to take into account. All
Yeah.
right. And I was wondering, what do you prefer these days in your job? Like it's changing all the time, and I think it's interesting to know like because I'm not sure. Did you start as a passion for you? Did it 14 years ago? Was it more like a passion when you started?
So before I came to IT, I was working in a different role, which is
Mhm.
completely unrelated profession for this one. But when I was in a college, like I studied into the computer science engineering. So I obviously wanted to come into the IT industry, but initially I didn't get an opportunity. But later on, like I got opportunity to come into this field. But it's my passion to work as an software engineer.
Right. And what do you prefer now the most in your day-to-day job?
I obviously like this technology is changing like very fast paced. Obviously, we cannot learn everything every day, but whatever is meaningful that is needed to implement something, some solutions are helping the product and the organizations. That's most focus. I'll focus on those items.
Right. I see. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually very good. Like to give you an example, like in my case, I love implementing um something new. Like recently it was Superset. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Superset SH. So I introduced that to my team and we're also using CMOX. That's for like cloud code. And I love doing some kind of workshops. So when I can on Fridays or every other Friday, we try to have like a workshop where we share knowledge. And that's really like what I love, what I'm always waiting for. And in the past, it used to be hack days. I'm not sure if you have this in your company. Like at the moment, we don't do that. But like a hack day, it's like something you would spend a day or
Yeah,
2 days.
we have those hackathon days.
Yeah, that's amazing. How do you run them?
So we have like 2 days hackathons. Like we go in with just a computer and no other things, and we
Uh-uh.
come up with a idea, and then we implement, and we do a POC, and then we present it in on the last day.
Right. And like, do you remember the last one you did?
I did it on the AWS Bedrock. Like it's like last year it seems. Yeah, I
Mm.
involved in one of those.
Right. So like the AI with AWS.
Yeah, it's on AWS.
This I've never used it. That service.
Yeah, so Bedrock is we basically like what we call these underwriting things, right? For any insurance kind of things. So the data is provided to the Bedrock systems, and it will run those. We feed that into the system, and it will generate those underwriting things. That's a high
Right.
level I'm giving, but It's been a while, like more than a year we did that, year back.
Yeah. In that use case, like in your case, what was the main use case then?
Like if any insurance claim happens, right? So
Mhm.
there has a lot of paperwork will be there, like a lot of underwriting and what is called the documentation related things.
Mm.
So that takes a lot of time. Usually, if a human being has to generate those things, it will takes like more than a week. But we did a POC that will generate in an hours, like something like that.
Right. So you can automate this and it
Some of those things we can automate. Yeah.
right. That's yeah, that's great. Oh, have you? I mean, do you have any side projects or like anything
I
you
have
do?
my own GitHub. Like I recently posted one of these related to the monorepo, like how enterprise level organizations can use monorepo for their projects, right? Because every team is working solely in their individual things, right? So
Mhm.
everybody is reinventing the same solutions. And so if you have like a monorepo kind of thing, so it's easy for the migrations, upgrades, or like reuse components, all those things. So I mean, just a POC kind of. I have just a shell project I have implemented and posted in my GitHub and side. And I'm just started my personal website. I have been thinking to create my own website. I'm not even getting a time to work on it. So it's pending for a while. So I'm going to post it in next week. Like it's almost in the finished state. Like it's about my personal blog kind of thing.
That's nice. Yeah, it's sometimes we do procrastinate, but yeah, that's good. Have you built it with AI or did you like use something very more like
For my personal website, I'm using AI to give like a basic structure, like the thoughts, because basic the I'm not a product owner because that is the main thing, right? Like I can implement if somebody gives me some prototypes or something, but when
Mhm.
it comes to the ideas like designer things, that I'm taking AI help.
Yeah, makes sense actually. Yeah, it's actually a good thought here because I believe these days we have to be more and more product engineers and thinking also more like a product owner, product manager, and also being a bit of a designer because before we used to spend so much time coding and now we barely spend time. It's really about the thinking about the product, what we need, what the user needs from us or the clients. And then we have to think more as a product engineer, like how the product will look like and why are we building this? And yeah, that's a very good thing
Yeah,
you
I agree that definitely. Yeah.
yeah. It's well that's great. Yeah, mono repos. Yeah, in my case it's helped me so much time. We architecting multiple repos into a mono repo, especially when you're a small team. What's your experience there with mono repos?
I mean, there are both pros and cons, but I see like for a big enterprise applications, it's very helpful to bring all the technology team uh, onto the one framework and kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. And at work, are you using that's something different, but are you using microservices
Yeah,
or
we do. Yes,
yeah,
yeah.
amazing. So maybe my last question would be, what do you like about microservices? Because I did some microservices and I don't necessarily have a good experience with it. Sometimes it's too strict. Quite often, there are way too many microservices running, and we are not enough. The resources is too low. So, what's your thoughts?
So it depends on like how we use those microservices. Definitely, the microservice means like for each request, for each new request, if we implement a services, it will be end of the day, it will become like 100, 200 services, and it at certain point of time, it becomes very it's hard to maintain those services. So that is also there. But if we properly manage things, let's say in the last year, Prudential has multiple databases and multiple teams built multiple services, and we don't know which customer data is saving in which database and what are the services being used. So to do that, like create one single database, we have to just spend a lot of time getting all the information of all the microservices being used across the organization, and how to get all the databases. So what are the different locations customer data is getting saved, and we have to document that to document itself. That took a lot of time. And out of it, then again, we have to create a master database and master tables, and then create as, let's say, if a user related microservice, only one service should be there and multiple teams has to use the same service. So those rules we have to enforce. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult to manage our services. But when it comes to performance wise, microservices are very good. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Mm.
It depends on how we manage things, how we organize, and the guardrails we built around it. Like when multiple teams are working on multiple solutions.
I see. And on AWS, would you also have everything distinct for each
So
microservice?
we have different business in Prudential. Like we have a life insurance business, we have a retirement business, and we have a real estate business. So every team has its own was working in silos and building their own solutions, building their own microservices, and it has become like now at certain stage, like it become very hard to manage. So now what high management leadership management is decided to bring all the technology teams together and work closely and build solutions, and which cannot be duplicated. The databases also should be one centralized location, and all the APIs, when you build some API, it has to be consumed by some other. Let's say we are building a login service and some other team again building a login service. It doesn't make any sense. So gathering all the customer information and creating one centralized database and services, that's the main point. And that also
Awesome.
helpful for the sales teams also to manage customers and leads, all those things. Lead management is the main thing in the financial sector.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And yeah, and I believe in your sector, I mean, in your specific case with insurance, and then you have a lot of sub domains, microservices can be very beneficial. It's like
Yeah.
the more complex a business is, the better you can design the different models there. I mean, different logics there, and you can break it down into very small microservice for, like you mentioned, life insurance. That could be one.
I have seen like my login service has itself 10 or 8 to 10 internal microservices connecting to that, calling different database, calling, getting different customer information before approving something like life insurance or like retirement or something else or disability or something.
And yeah, so then it will call, like, you would have the user service, and then it will call the
Yeah.
requirement if it needs, like, if it's assigned to that specific
The,
client.
the funny thing is like 2 years back,
Mm.
every product has its own login page. Life insurance has its own login page. Retirement has its own login page. The group insurance has its own login page. So there is no one unique login user ID password. Let's say if you are a customer who have two products or three products, you have two login, three login passwords. That's how situation was. Now we are like bringing together into one unified single sign on. I mean login experience.
Right. And then you had to migrate all of those users and the
Yes.
duplicated users across
It's a
the
very
different.
complex thing. Like we worked through like almost 2 years to get to document all these things first, and then create some again new services, and creating first a new team, standing up a platform team just for the backend, and it's a one single platform team will handle all the microservices.
Yeah, that's migration, and I mean, especially database migration with user data.
Yeah.
And duplicated user data across the different services. It can be quite a nightmare. How will proceed the right way? A
The
lot of
last
planning.
10 years within Prudential, I've been through like so many migrations, just migrations.
And speaking about database, are you more like non-relational database, like MongoDB for scalability, or more like Postgres?
We have combination, depends on like if customer database is in a SQL database, and some other like advisors will be there, advisors data in MongoDB, and our lead management is a different system, and marketing team has a different but the customer database is now single database we created enterprise level,
I
but
see.
all other different related like advisors has also login experience, and as I said, the email campaigns and lead management. So these different things we have.
Yeah, yeah, true. Yeah, that's probably very different. Yeah.
So yeah, it's very vast, big thing.
Yeah, and for the campaigns, yeah, that must even be probably a third party service.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Would you like to share anything else or anything like maybe something recent you have learned or something? I don't know. Anything you would like to share?
Mm, yeah, recently I'm working on this how to adopt AI into an enterprise level. Like if any new organization wants to adopt something, like they don't know where to start, what are the tools can be used, and how to deploy how to make sure their platforms are ready, how to deploy their services. So I'm writing some publications and research papers on it. So you can, if you can search my name, you will see some of those my articles and. I'm still working on, yeah, that involving in some conferences and all those things.
Right. Oh, yeah, that must be really, really good. I will be happy actually to share the links. On what website are you sharing this?
Yes, I have like my Google Scholarly,
Right. Oh, yeah. So it's like a kind of a paper. Yeah.
yeah, paper kind of things.
Right.
I'm
That's
trying to
great. I mean,
publish two things in the medium also, still in the progress. So
yes. But yeah, it's really good to when you learn something. In my case, I found super helpful to explain back like on a paper, on
yeah,
capstone or like it could be on a medium. It really helps to reinforce what you are learning at the moment. It was lovely to meet you, Narendra.
same here.
That was
Yeah, nice talking to you. Nice chat on this for you Friday morning and for me Thursday evening.